Man alive, did I not like this film. It's awful. Here's my view of Eternals. Eternals. Now, Eternals is a new Marvel movie directed by Chloé Zhao, and basically the film tells the story of the Eternals, who basically come back to Earth because the deviants are coming back to Earth, and they have to defeat the deviants before it's too late and the world ends. That may as well be the plot for the Eternals, because honestly, this movie is just... it's awful. It's bafflingly awful. Like, oh my god, I'm not entirely sure what happened behind the scenes, but this movie turned out terrible. And in the end, yes, generally I'm not a fan of the MCU, but I have liked films from them in the past, the first Iron Man, the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, and also the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. So I went into this movie thinking, oh my god, come on, MCU surprised me, Marvel surprised me with this one, and in the end, they just made me so bored and just so frustrated in the cinema when I was watching this film. Oh my god, it's awful. It's really awful because it is the most tedious and convoluted and frustrating Marvel movie to date. Honestly, I haven't been this annoyed with a Marvel movie in a long time, like Black Widow. I didn't like Black Widow, but the thing is though, I didn't get frustrated with Black Widow. I just kind of went, okay, I don't like it. It's a film which I don't like, but I can understand why a lot of other people might like that film. But with this film, I just kind of started going like, I don't care about any of this in the film. I just don't care about anything that's going on at all in Eternals, because it's rubbish. It's unbelievably bad. I mean, it's such a fantastic, diverse cast. And such, an Oscar-winning director. You'd expect this movie to be absolutely amazing. But in the end, it turns out to be one of the worst Marvel movies. And oh my god, it's bafflingly bad. Like, it's bafflingly bad. It's so bad and so frustrating and so annoying at that, because the thing is though, like, Chloé Zhao is a fantastic filmmaker. She won an Oscar for her direction of Nomadland, which came out, last year, and I think Nomadland is a fantastic film. I watched it a couple of weeks ago to actually, get an idea what Chloé Zhao's direction is like for this film. And yes, you can tell that Chloé Zhao's, visual stamp is on this film, but man, oh man, oh man, the film is pulling all these different directions with the story, and you don't care about any of it. Honestly, the mythology in the film is just so tedious and so boring, and just told in the worst way possible. Honestly, the large exposition dumps in this film are terrible, and they literally almost made me fall asleep in the cinema. That's not a joke. I almost fell asleep in the cinema, and I was going into the cinema, yesterday. I was going into the cinema yesterday to watch the film. I was really excited, thinking, okay, Marvel movie, surprise me, and oh my god, I almost fell asleep. There were moments of dialogue which made me laugh out loud in the cinema. There were moments which I was actually like, why are we doing this now? And the twists were so unbelievably predictable. Like, there's one big twist with one character, I won't give it away, but there's one big twist with one character, and if you don't see that twist coming, it's because you're asleep. And I mean asleep at one point of the film. Honestly, my god, this movie is terrible. However, that's not to say it doesn't have its perks in there. Like I said before, you can clearly tell it's a Chloé Zhao film, and that's a good thing in the end. That's a good thing, the fact that a director has come to Marvel, an independent director, and put her stamp on a Marvel movie, and in a really good way. Some of the visuals in the film do feel like they could have been out in Nomadland in a fantastic way. Nomadland, like I said before, is a fantastic film. That was Chloé Zhao's, last film before this film came out, and that's fantastic. Honestly, it's such an amazingly short film. It's such a beautifully short film with that, and the same thing here. This is one of the best short Marvel films to date. Some of the cinematography is brilliant, although some of the filmmaking isn't always the best, but some of the cinematography is brilliant. At the same time though, all the actors are doing the best with the scripts they've got. I mean, I do think there are some miscasts in the cast, I've got to admit. Like, I don't think Salma Hayek was the best choice for the role she was given. I think she's a great actress, but I just don't think she was the best for the role she was given. Same with Richard Madden, also a great actor, but maybe not right for the part he was given. However, all the performances are good with what they're given, In the end, it's not a fantastic script, so they're all doing a relatively good job. And at the same time, though, in the cast, we also have, Lauren Ridloff, I might pronounce her name unfortunately, who's a deaf actress who plays a deaf character in the film. And I'm impressed with that. I'm always impressed with like a deaf actor or a deaf actress is in a TV show or film, because that's quite difficult, especially if the director doesn't know sign language. So I'm always impressed with that sort of stuff in a film or TV show, regardless of, whether the film or TV TV show is good. I'm always impressed whether I like a deaf actor or deaf actress in a film or TV show, because that is quite hard to do in the end. That's quite hard to do and quite hard to direct, and I thought actually she worked really well in the film. And also, I think Kit Harington's a standout. Honestly, I would have liked to see more of Kit Harington in the film. My god, did actually bring some energy to the role. And actually, he's barely in the film, really. He's only really like the first half an hour, not to give too much away there, because I'm trying to get you know, non-spoiler, but not to give too much away here. But he's only really in like half an hour of the film, and when he disappeared, I was like, bring him back! He seems to have got any energy in the cast. And actually, saying that though, Keoghan isn't bad either as Droog. He shows up in the film, and my god, he saved at one point for me. He carried a large section of the film, because I was really losing interest about an hour into the film, and then he shows up, and I'm like, thank god you're there, because you're bringing some energy into this film. Much needed energy of that, and thank god you put in this film. And also Kumail Nanjiana, I might pronounce his name wrong, he's great in the film as well. He's also really fun to watch, although I wasn't really sure what they're doing him in the third act of the film. Again, I'm not going to give anything away, but in the third act of the film, he's not there that much, and I'm not really sure why. I'm not really sure what happened to his character. And bear in mind, I've seen the full film. You know, I didn't go to sleep at any point in the film. I sat there for 2 hours and 35 minutes, whatever it is, in the cinema, and I'm not entirely sure what's happening to certain characters at certain moments. And I didn't expect to ever say that about a Marvel movie, but here we are with this movie. But anyway, yes, at the same time though, you know, Ramin Djawadi's score, again I might pronounce his name wrong, his score of the film is brilliant, it's soaring. You know, Ramin Djawadi did a great job scoring Game of Thrones and, you know, the Westworld TV show, and he did a great job scoring this one as well. Honestly, the score is actually fantastic, and in the end, it's a well-made film to a degree, and the only thing is, I don't think it's top-notch filmmaking for Marvel, but it really should be with Chloé Zhao directing. She's a fantastic director, and she's an Oscar-winning director, and it really should be, you know, fantastic filmmaking, but it's not in the end. It just kind of comes across as messy and really all over the place, and like she doesn't really have a handle on what she's doing. And the thing is, though, like I said before, fantastic director, wins an Oscar for Nomadland, fantastic film. But the thing is, though, her direction, although you can tell her visual stamp is on this film, you know, with the cinematography and the shots and whatnot, I don't know, just the action sequences lacked any sort of danger and any sort of thrill that I just kind of said then go, I don't care about any of the characters, because the filmmaking just felt quite messy, and it just felt like she didn't really know how to do the big CGI moments in the film. And the CGI in the film, bloody hell, I'll get onto it, but Christ, the amount of CGI in the film is ridiculous, and it got really annoying and gave me a headache just like that. But anyway, I'll get onto that a bit later in this review. But yes, okay, it's made well, it's got some good performances, and also it's got some good diversity in there. You know, I'm not one of those nerds online who simply just dislike a Marvel movie because it has a powerful female character in there, or because it shows diversity. No, I'm happy about that. I love the fact that in this film, we see two gay characters happily present their love on screen. I'm really happy about that. Honestly, I really am. I'm happy at the fact that we get to see two characters, you know, happily present their love on screen and not have to hide it. I think that's great. And also, I love the fact that it's a properly diverse cast. I think that's fantastic. But the thing is, though, the reason I don't like this film is because of its story and because I didn't feel anything at all for its characters, and because everything else just felt so mechanical and felt like I was just watching a film that I just didn't care about anything that was going on in the film at all. Honestly, I think it's terrible. Because the thing is, though, you don't feel anything for the characters. Like, you don't feel anything for these characters who are meant to know each other for like thousands of years, and yet there's no chemistry with any of the actors. The thing is, though, they're all doing a fine job with their performances. They're all doing fine jobs, but there's no chemistry. And in the end, yes, I get the start of the film, okay, the Eternals are just meeting for the first time, but then, later on in the film, they're meant to know each other for thousands of years, and honestly, it literally felt like they just met each other 5 minutes before the take. It was so annoying, and I just didn't feel any chemistry with any of the characters or any of the actors in the film. Was so annoying. And the thing is, though, I should watch, you know, these Marvel movies with these big casts and go, oh my god, I feel the energy. You know, these people clearly know each other. And, you know, I can watch Guardians of the Galaxy, a film which literally has characters meeting each other, and there's brilliant chemistry between all the actors in the film, and you see the characters meet each other in that film. The thing is, though, in Eternals, they're meant to know each other for thousands of years, and you don't feel any chemistry between any of the actors, and you should. You should in the end, but you don't. And I don't know what happened there. They did not do any chemistry reads or something like that, because you don't feel any chemistry with any of the actors who apparently have known each other for thousands of years. It's like, what is this? And the story is pulling all these different directions. Like, I don't really care about what's happening in the story. And my god, the mythology in this film is unbelievably boring. There are large moments of exposition which are done in the most boring way possible. Like, literally, you get this large exposition dump when basically you find out why the deviants are coming down to Earth. And by the way, like I said before, I've seen the film the full way through, and I still don't fully understand why the deviants were coming down to Earth. I've got to admit that. And I've seen the film the full way through, and I still don't fully understand that. But anyway, yes, there's a large exposition dump, but basically you find out why the deviants are coming down to Earth. And honestly, it's just this big low voice going, deviants, celestials, humanity. And it's like, what is this? How boring can you make expositions in this film? It's so boring, the exposition in this film. Honestly, I was standing there going, oh my god, could you get a person to do a voice any deeper and any lower? Because this is unbelievably boring. It was so boring just watching this long exposition in the film about this, I think it was a celestial, I'm not sure, talking about why the demons are coming down to Earth, like, Earth, we've got the celestials, humanity for Earth has been around for thousands of years. I'm like, what is this? Oh my god, it was so boring. And on the topic of exposition, at the start of the film, you have these words come on the screen and they scroll down the screen, things like that. It feels like it's out of one of those World War II movies. It feels like out of a war movie, and not in a good way. I literally just sat there thinking, are they really taking this really seriously? Are they making it so this is going to be like a war movie? Honestly, if you've seen the film, you know exactly what I mean. At the very beginning of the film, they just have words scrolling down the screen, and they're just like, is this a war movie? How seriously they're taking everything? And then, honestly, I just kind of thought to myself at the time, can we not just put some John Williams Star Wars music in the background? Because my god, at least in Star Wars, yes, you've got the words coming on the screen at the beginning, but you have the fantastic music score in the background, you know, that's why Star Wars works. That's why all the words in space work at the start of Star Wars, because you have the John Williams score in the background. In this film, it's just kind of like, okay, there's words on screen. Are they treating this like a war movie? Why? And honestly, the movie just takes itself so seriously, which makes it so much boring to watch. And if you think I'm jumping about all over the place in this review, my god, watch the movie. That jumps about way too much. One point, we're at 5000 BC, and then we're in quote-unquote present day in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Honestly, it's just all over the place. It just keeps jumping from time to time to thousands of years ago. We're all the way back here now. Okay, we're all the way in present day, all the way back here now, all the way in present day. And oh my god, it jumps about so much, and it's just so messy. It almost feels like Marvel was trying to do the Godfather Part 2 thing. We're basically in Godfather Part 2, if you don't know, you get the past, and you get the present, and basically going at the same time, and the two based on the stories, and basically they end up kind of coming together and building this really satisfying conclusion in Godfather Part 2. And it does kind of feel like Marvel trying to do that with this film, but it doesn't work at all. This film has completely no comparison to Godfather Part 2 at all. I can't believe that I just compared Eternals to Godfather Part 2. Godfather Part 2, which is a masterpiece, and then you get Eternals, which is like, ooh, this is rubbish. It's rubbish, that's what it's rubbish. It's terrible. I can't think of any more adjectives to, you know, describe this film. It's that bad. And I can't believe what I just did there. I compared Godfather Part 2 to Eternals. Compared to Godfather Part 2, Eternals looks like a banana skin you've left in a rubbish bin for about 5 months and you completely forgot about. That's what Eternals feels like compared to Godfather Part 2. And honestly, it's so awful. And like I said before, the action sequences are boring and bland. You don't feel any sort of thrill with the action sequences. And the Celestials and the Deviants, I'm not sure if the Celestials meant to be the bad guys or not. Again, I still don't understand. And I've seen the movie the full way through. But yes, the Celestials and the Deviants are so bland and boring and just so rubbish and so badly written. Oh my god, they're just big CGI monsters and you don't care about them at all. And the Celestials, or at least I think they're Celestials, just feel like a worse version of Transformers. Honestly, just feel like they've been left over from the Michael Bay Transformers movies. And by the way, if you know me, you know I absolutely hate the Transformers movies. I hate them to pieces. And so when the Celestials shows up in the film and they look like Transformers, I was just like, oh, no, because it doesn't work at all, and the CGI monsters didn't feel threatening one bit. At least in Shang-Chi, the villain is actually kind of threatening because it's Tony Young, and he's actually a real person, he's not CGI. In this film, my god, they got Bill Skarsgård, who obviously played, you know, Pennywise in the latest It films. They've got Bill Skarsgård, a great actor, voicing the Celestial, who's meant to be this big bad villain, I'm guessing, by the way. They've got Bill Skarsgård, you know, voicing this evil character, and you just don't feel threatened by him at all. Honestly, I was just kind of thinking to myself, oh my god, they got Bill Skarsgård. Great. I don't care about the character though, because he's just CGI. I don't care about him at all. And the thing is though, you know, I cared about CGI villains in the past. You know, in The Hobbit, you have the big CGI orc. And actually, whenever I watch the Hobbit films, I feel a bit threatened by the big CGI orc. I mean, I shouldn't do in the Hobbit films, but I do. And the funny thing is, with this film, on the topic of the Hobbit, it does kind of feel like it's trying to be the Hobbit. Eternals feels like it's trying to do its own Lord of the Rings thing, / Hobbit thing, more the Hobbit, and it doesn't really work, and I'm not sure why they're trying to do that. You know, in the end, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is feeling very overstuffed right now. Honestly, you had all the stuff with Avengers, and, you know, that's God knows how many movies. Then you had all the stuff with Shang-Chi, which is opening loads of new worlds. Then you have all the stuff with Loki as well, because that counts as well now. And then you have all the stuff with Eternals, and it's just like, flipping heck, can this world get any bigger? And then further down the line, even some excited for it, you've got Multiverse in Spider-Man No Way Home, and in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. My God, is this Cinematic Universe getting jam-packed. And anyway, back on to think with The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. Honestly, it does feel like this movie is trying to replicate what The Hobbit did. It does feel like, you know, the filmmakers and the writers have sat down and watched The Hobbit and went, you know what, we should try and make a Marvel version of that. Because honestly, you've got the big CGI monster in there, you've got a group of characters that, you know, you're meant to enjoy watching. I've got to admit, I enjoyed the dwarves a lot more in The Hobbit than I enjoyed any of the Eternals in this film. But at the same time though, you've got the group of characters meant to go on this big adventure and kill the big evil force. In The Hobbit, it's Smaug, it's a big CGI dragon. Fully enough though, it works in The Hobbit. And here, it's the deviants. But it doesn't work at all. I didn't care about the deviants one bit, and yet in The Hobbit, I do care about the characters though. Even when Smaug shows up in The Hobbit and he's this big CGI dragon, you care about it though. You do feel threatened by him because of Benedict Cumberbatch's, you know, voice as a Smaug, where he's like, I'm gonna kill you, Power Rider. It's fantastic in that film, but then in this film, you kind of sit there and go, deviants, great. What makes them different than all the other Marvel CGI villains we've seen before? Literally nothing, in my opinion. Literally nothing. And yes, if you're a Marvel comics reader, you might disagree with me there, and that's fine, but the thing is though, I've never read a Marvel comic in my life. I've never read a comic book in my life. So I'm watching it going, okay, deviants, what are they? I don't care one bit because you've explained it boringly. Honestly, the exposition dumps in this film where they explain what the deviants are just like I said before, unbelievably boring and so tedious and just so lacking energy. Honestly, this film just lacks so much energy, which the Hobbit films had in my opinion. Honestly, whether it's Legolas, Bilbo, Gandalf, or all the other dwarf characters in the Hobbit, they add energy to that film. And I know a lot of people are fans of the Hobbit films. Personally, I love them. But in the end, for me personally, I'd much rather any day watch a Hobbit film over Eternals, because the Hobbit feels like its own thing, and Eternals, weirdly enough, feels like it's trying to copy the Hobbit, and not in a good way at all. And I'm a fan of the Hobbit films, but the Eternals just feels like it's trying to copy the Hobbit, and I don't really know why I was trying to do that with the big CGI monsters and the big things like that, and the big large set pieces. It doesn't really feel like it's trying to be its own thing. It just feels like it want to be like Lord of the Rings / Hobbit / you know, Middle Earth sort of stuff. And I'm not sure why I wanted to do that. And, you know, in the end, it's great that, you know, Chloé Zhao is shooting on location in the film, but honestly, some CGI just ruins that. There's so much CGI in the third act of the film, which just shocked me, because I didn't think Chloé Zhao would put that much CGI in the film, but clearly Kevin Feige, you know, the head of Marvel Studios, has his hands on the film going, more CGI. More CGI, because it's a Marvel movie, and so basically, in the end, you've got all this CGI going in the third act of the film, and it is shockingly boring. It's shockingly boring, because, you know, in the end, Kevin Feige is the head of Marvel Studios, like I said before. Kevin Feige has been hyping up this movie like it's going to be an Oscar contender. Oh my god, if this movie gets nominated for an Oscar, I don't know what I'll do, but I will literally be shocked if this movie gets nominated for any Oscars, and that includes visual effects, by the way, because the amount of visual effects in the film, which are just rubbish and just really weren't done well, was really shocking as well. The CGI is, again, shockingly bad, and there's a lot of it which just doesn't look like it's been done well. It doesn't look like it's been properly polished like it has sometimes in the past with other Marvel movies. I mean, I've got to admit, that's one of my big issues with some other Marvel movies as well, that the CGI doesn't look finished, and that's my issue with Eternals. I didn't think it would be, because Chloé Zhao is a filmmaker, you know, I didn't think she would be dealing with this much CGI, but whoo, I was wrong. The amount of CGI in this film is ridiculous, and honestly, in the end, like I said before, it just feels like the film is pulling all these different directions, and it doesn't, in the end, really settle on what it wants to be. Because basically, you've got Chloé Zhao's vision, where basically she wants to make a slow burn epic, and then you've got Marvel's vision, which, you know, is Marvel, in the end, big CGI fights, big action set pieces, comedy which doesn't really work, and again, the comedy in the film doesn't really work, and then you have this other vision where it's trying to be like Lord of the Rings / Hobbit-esque, and none of it really works. None of the directions that this film was pulling in really succeeds in getting to any of its destinations. In the end, the film just pulls in all these different directions, and just feels a complete and utter mess in the end. Honestly, I was at the end of the film going, flipping heck, did we just get to the end of the film? Because my god, the film was pulling in all these different directions, and didn't really settle on one, and that's kind of the big reason it doesn't work. It feels uneven, the pacing is completely off, and there are moments where you can walk, okay, let's live in the scene a sec, let's live in the scene, but then it quickly cuts to something else, which is like a big CGI moment. It's like, why? Why are you doing that so much in this film? Because it's not working. That's kind of why Eternals doesn't work. Because it's pulling in all these different directions, and on one hand, you've got Chloé Zhao trying to do her vision, Marvel trying to insert their stamp on it, and also all the other things which are going on, and none of it works. None of it really works, and that's a shame overall, because Chloé Zhao is a talented filmmaker. You know, this film should be brilliant with a fantastic cast: Angelina Jolie, Salma Hayek, you know, Richard Madden, Gemma, Keoghan, so on and so on and so on. This film should be fantastic, but it's not. And I'm not sure why it isn't. And one last thing that I almost forgot to mention is this is the first Marvel movie to feature a sex scene between two characters. And it just felt so unnecessary. Like, I understand the two characters were in love, I understood that, but there's been two characters in love in previous Marvel movies, and we haven't seen a sex scene in any of them. So it's like, why in this film? And the sex scene is just a bit weird, and it's done outside, by the way. And all I was thinking during that scene, that pretty intimate scene in the film, all I was thinking was, are they not cold? Are they not freezing? I don't understand why Marvel put a sex scene in this movie. I just don't understand that. It's just a bit weird. And it doesn't really add anything to the characters. Again, I get they're in love, but that's happened in other Marvel movies with other previous Marvel characters, and we haven't had a sex scene in any of them. Why do we have to have it here? Honestly, it's a terrible movie. You feel no chemistry between any of the actors as the Eternals. The Eternals are so badly written and so bland. It's really boring to watch and really hard to watch and convoluted and messy, and you just kind of sit there and go, what happened? What happened? What were Marvel trying to do in this film? I'm still not sure. And it's shocking in the end, because Chloé Zhao is a fantastic filmmaker. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, she's a fantastic filmmaker with Nomadland. Brilliant film. But in this film, it just kind of felt like she didn't really know what she was doing with the superhero movie. And that's just saying I don't want to say that. I actually felt that was quite mean of me to say just then. But it's the truth. I can't hide my opinion on this movie. I can't come out there and just say I love it for the sake of it. That's kind of how I feel Marvel movies as a whole. You know, I could go out there and lie about my opinion on Marvel movies time and time again every time they come out. But in the end, if it doesn't work for me, I've got to be honest. I was honest with Shang-Chi, it didn't really work for me. I was honest with Black Widow, that movie didn't work for me as well. And I'll be honest again here, it didn't work for me. But if you like Eternals, I'm not taking that away from you. If you like Eternals, that's great. I'm really happy for you, because you found something in this film which I wish I found. But in the end, I just thought it was a convoluted, baffling mess that I just can't believe Marvel made. I can't believe this further down the line, after, 20 odd movies, almost at 30 movies now, Marvel has made a movie this messy and this all over the place and just this mechanical that it shocks me. It shocks me how mechanical and how messy and how all over the place the film is. Like I said before, my problems are not in the diversity. I'm happy about that. I'm happy about this fantastic diversity in the film, and I'm happy about all the other stuff. I'm happy about, Chloé Zhao directing a film like this. I'm happy about a filmmaker like her directing a film like this. But, man alive, it was terrible in my opinion. I almost fell asleep in the cinema, and that's only ever happened with one other film, Pirates of the Caribbean 5, and I did not expect to happen with this film. I didn't almost fall asleep in Black Widow and Shang-Chi. I mean, I didn't really like those films, but I didn't almost fall asleep in those films, but I did almost fall asleep in Eternals, and I didn't want to at all. And so, all in all, I hate to say this, I really do, because I really wanted Eternals to surprise me, but in the end, I'm going to say it's a 3.5 out of 10. Honestly, like I said before, if you like this movie, I'm not taking that away from you. I'm not taking that away from the fact that you like this movie. Because I love it when somebody likes a movie more than I do. There's many movies out there which I love, which people hate. I've spoken about it before. I'm a huge fan of Star Wars The Last Jedi. I love that movie. And I'm also a huge fan of some other DC movies which people aren't fans of. I'm a huge fan of Shazam. I'm a huge fan of Aquaman. But the thing is, though, I'm not a fan of quite a lot of MCU movies in general. And again, Eternals just fits into that category for me. I'm just not a fan of Eternals. And if you are, great. I'm really, really happy for you. But I'm also jealous because, man, I don't know what movie you watched if you thought this movie was great. Because I wish I got to watch that movie as well. I wish I got to sit in that cinema and really go along with the film. In the end, it feels like a Marvel movie, and I think that's its biggest flaw, actually. That's, shockingly, its biggest flaw. It shouldn't feel like a Marvel movie with Chloé Zhao directing. But in the end, it does all come across as one big mess. As one big, convoluted CGI mess. And it shouldn't. It shouldn't, but it does. And it pains me to say it. It really does, because I went into the cinema yesterday really wanted to be surprised by Eternals. But in the end, I just came out of a headache, which I wish wasn't there. And so, all in all, I'm going to say the Eternals. I'm going to say that it's a 3.5 out of 10 from me. Anyway guys, what do you think of Eternals? Please do comment down below and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Anyway guys, thank you as always for watching. If you haven't yet, please do click down below and subscribe on this video. I look forward to many more, both film and TV reviews, come very soon on this channel. See you guys again soon, but bye for now. Bye!